welcome back to the Beefy Tech channel. In front of you, you're witnessing me unbox my brand new 7900XTX. I initially planned to get this GPU on release, but as you can imagine that didn't happen and I ended up with the 4090 instead, and I have been on the 4090 ever since, switching out through several CPUs such as the 13700K, 5800X3D, and 7950X3D, which I'm still using currently, including using it with the 7900XTX. As you can see, this is the 7900XTX Taichi White Edition. I wanted this one specifically because it was white and it overclocks really well. This GPU is a piece of art, as you can see. And I did get out of my way while unboxing this specifically to show you every possible angle of it, because I absolutely love how this looks. And luckily there's more than meets the eye with this GPU, as it has a 470 watt power limit when overclocked, and let me tell you, it really needs that power limit because in 90% of the games that I've played on this, yes, I'll show game results in a little bit, it was actually hitting the power limit cap, which I know sounds crazy, but 9 out of 10 times, you're rocking 450 watts on this thing no problem constantly throughout the game. Mind you, that's because I'm on a 7950X3D, so there's basically no CPU bottlenecks on this. The GPU came included with a small support bracket, but it was shitty and terrible, so I did not end up using it. With that said, this is a size comparison between the 7900XTX, 4090, and 6950XT. That poor reference 6950XT is suffering right about now. Let's quickly go over the settings I've used for the 7900XTX for all of the following game tests I'm going to show. As you can see, the settings are just a basic ass overclock that is following suit of what people have recommended for me. I've set a minimum of 1200 with a maximum of 3200, specifically so the GPU can pick its spot at where it's comfortable at, undervolted it to 1090 mV, so it's a negative 60 mV undervolt, overclocked the VRAM by about 200 MHz, set it to fast timing, did a custom fan curve, and put the power tuning to 15% increase. Yes, I double checked, smart access memory is also on. And you guessed it, the very first game we'll be taking a look at is Call of Duty. It was obviously the very first game I decided to play, as I know the 7900XTX overperforms in this title specifically, and I'm sure you guys are aware of that too. Just so you know, I did also run the benchmark, and yes, it was really good, better than my 4090. I'll show you guys a comparison after this footage. With that said though, you can take a look at the average FPS once I speed through this part of the map, and as you can see, it is holding insanely strong at 1440p native low settings. If you're interested in my exact COD settings past it just being all low settings, you can find my config file down below, and it might even help your performance out if you haven't already tried it out for yourself. With that said, as you can see, the performance was incredibly good on the 7950X3D plus 7900XTX, but I did end up getting shot on and had to spectate my girlfriend through the end of the game, and as you can see, the FPS average ended up being around 326, with a 1% low sticking at around 202, which for an Ashika Island 10-minute recording, which I cut down to about 5 minutes, is extremely solid. We might have gotten second place, but I do promise you we definitely were getting higher FPS than whoever beat us over there. What you're seeing is my native results at 1440p with a 7900XTX in the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 benchmark, and yes, that is indeed a 393 average, with the GPU results being at 403 with 320 in the lows. CPU results are also holding strong when paired with the 7900XTX, but not much different than the 4090 results, which I'll show you right now. As you can see, at least within the Modern Warfare 2 benchmark, it's a night and day difference. The 7900XTX is definitely faster. Mind you, both of these are max overclocked, but I do want to mention my 4090 is not the best overclocker. As you can see, the XTX beats it in virtually everything, but I've seen 4090s pull 400 in the GPU averages, so there's definitely some 4090s out there that'll keep up with the 7900XTX, but given the price difference, I'd still hand this win to the 7900XTX. But I do have to be entirely transparent with you guys when I say that the Vondel gameplay did not feel as good as it did on the 4090. Now, I know that sounds a bit weird and that the FPS is extremely good given I am above 240 most of the time, and you're even seeing 280s over there, and you'll even see 300 in some situations. But what you'll notice is that you'll also see a bit lower than that depending on where you're looking within Vondel. And what I'm saying now is a bit more subjective, more the feel of the game, like the way the entire game plays felt slightly less smooth than when I played on the 4090. Now obviously when you're at such high frame rates, it's pretty hard to notice the differences, but if I can notice it, it's definitely there. The frame timeline was quite smooth though, so I don't know what exactly to attribute it to, but it might just be that the 1% lows might be slightly lower on the 7900 XTX within Vondel, but regardless, performance in Vondel was still really solid. Here I sadly forgot to turn on the 1% lows because I was just playing normal games, but I did want to mention that. I'll look into it further and I'll come back with another video sometime, but for now, performance is okay. You see, right there, that was a 180 dip for a split second there, and that right there I think is what I can attribute to the mediocre feel of the game sometimes too, but we'll explore that in a later video. Let's move on to some other games. Within Forza Horizon 5, the performance actually kind of surprised me. The GPU clock was sitting at around 3200 for the longest time, and it eventually dropped around 3150, and it was hanging around that area while drawing about 400 watts, which is quite nutty if you think about it, because 3200 on a 7900 XTX, that is really solid for a game as intensive as Forza Horizon 5. And at absolutely identical settings as the RTX 4090, the 7900 XTX pulled 161 FPS, while the 4090 pulled about 213 FPS, making the 7900 XTX about 25 to 26% slower. And so you might be noticing a trend. The 4090 would indeed appear to be significantly faster in every other game except Call of Duty. Now yes, I say every other game and I've only tested one game, but let me show you the rest of the results quickly and then you'll see. Thing is, it is understandable. The 7900 XTX is significantly cheaper, so it is really normal for it to actually perform worse within other games, but it's nice to see within Call of Duty it does perform better. While it hit 517 FPS in the Siege benchmark, the 4090 did 701, meaning that the 7900 XTX is indeed about 27% slower in Rainbow Six Siege than the 4090. The next game on the list is Dying Light 2, and the reason I like to choose this game is because it has high quality ray tracing, so I can absolutely massacre the performance of the 7900 XTX, and I'll obviously also compare it to the 4090 just to make it look even worse. Don't get me wrong, I paid full price for this 7900 XTX, but I'm trying to see the realistic performance you'd be getting if you yourself bought it. And as you can see, Dying Light 2 in fact stutters on the 7900 XTX. It's not bad, it's not unplayable, but as you can see, Dying Light 2 on the 4090 is a significantly better experience with significantly more FPS while ray tracing is on. If you want to fix the stutters, you would have to enable FSR, and that completely fixes the stutters on the 7900 XTX in Dying Light 2, but I'm just letting you guys know the 4090 doesn't stutter, while at native resolution, the 7900 XTX definitely stutters heavily in Dying Light 2. As you can see, if you just set it to FSR2 quality, you're pretty much good to go. The game doesn't stutter anymore, everything is smoother, and your FPS is now significantly above 100, and you're more in the 4090 range. Mind you, it's just not native resolution anymore. Then again, if you did this exact trick on the 4090, you'd also be getting significantly more FPS, and FSR is open platform, meaning you can indeed use it on the 4090 too. So, all things considered, yet again, the 4090 is quite significantly faster, but if you do play with FSR on and you're fine with playing with FSR, the 7900 XTX definitely still delivers enough performance for you to enjoy the game at 1440p ultra high ray tracing. The final game I got to play while testing was BattleBit. Now mind you, I don't have any results with the 4090 from this, because I literally just downloaded it today specifically to test on the 7900 XTX. And I'll be honest with you guys, this is probably not the best game to use for a GPU test, as we were CPU bound by even the 7950X3D. As you can see on the 7900 XTX, we're sitting at about 67% usage, and you'd see it go from 60 to 75% usage on the GPU at 1440p Ultra. Mind you, it is pulling about 400 FPS average with 270 in the lows while doing that, so I'd say that performance is incredibly good. For the 7950X3D, it's just not representative of the 7900 XTX performance because we're CPU bound. But regardless, this game performs incredibly well, and I honestly fully believe that if you want to play this game, you don't need a good rig because, well, obviously, it's basically Roblox but with Battlefield mechanics, and it's incredibly fun to play, so I recommend you give it a try. With that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. The Beefy Tech PC Optimization Services website has been revamped and looks better now, has vast improvements across the board, but does also now have a donate tab in case you guys want to individually support my work and don't require an optimization for your computer. With that said, make sure to like and subscribe if this was helpful. And just to mention, I will be using the 7900 XTX for the following month, and I'll come back and let you guys know exactly how my experience on an AMD GPU has been. I'm going to be testing stability and many more games than I've tested today. With that said, I hope you enjoyed and have a good one. Peace.